Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers are headed to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. What an incredible second half comeback from the 49ers against the Lions. They looked really bad in the first half. This offense wasn't clicking. This defense was getting run all over by Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. But the second half was a completely different story. This team made big-time halftime adjustments. Brock Purdy in the second half went 13 of 16, threw for 174 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, was using his legs like crazy, 49 rushing yards, had a passer rating of 139.8. Brock Purdy looked phenomenal. Where the Brock Purdy haters at now? It's been crazy all season long how people continue to say that Brock Purdy is not the guy, that Brock Purdy won't lead the 49ers to the Super Bowl, and he's done it again. People continue to hate on him every single game, every single week. They find a reason to nitpick at him. They don't realize that, wow, this guy was the last overall pick in the draft, and he's engineered this amazing 49ers offense. They look amazing, and they are headed to the Super Bowl against a man that is very dangerous, Patrick Mahomes. What a matchup this is going to be. Looking at these last 2 weeks for the 49ers, they've definitely had some red flags, but coming into the postseason, everybody knew that they were most likely the favorite to win the Super Bowl outside of the Baltimore Ravens. Well, now that the Baltimore Ravens are here, it's obviously the 49ers versus the Chiefs. Looking at the playoff trajectory from the San Francisco 49ers, starting from week 18 when they rested a lot of their players, then they had the first round bye. Going into that Green Bay game, they didn't look great until about the last 5 minutes on the final drive of the game where Brock Purdy led them down the field. They scored the touchdown and sealed it with the interception. Well, you can blame that game to a little bit of rust. They had about 2 weeks off, combining that week 18 game with the first round bye. Then Debo went down. It was heavily raining. Brock Purdy threw with a glove on and then took it off. That kind of messed up their rhythm. Then you look at this Lions game. They really struggled in the first half on the defensive side of this ball. This defensive line was really struggling in this Lions game. In particular, Chase Young didn't look like he was showing a ton of effort, and Detroit was really able to do whatever it wanted on the offensive side of the ball. They're such a physical team. They're such a good team at running the ball. But the 49ers, if they could shut that down just a little bit and force Jared Goff to be a drop back passer like we saw in the second half, they would have had a lot easier time with this game. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery were having massive performances in the first half, and it led to Jared Goff being so precise in the play action game with Sam Laporta, with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the 49ers were on the ropes early. They went down 14-0. They missed the field goal. They were able to make it a 17-point game at halftime, and things really didn't look good, but fortunately for them, they came out on fire in the second half, got some timely turnovers. This offense looked a lot better. Christian McCaffrey went off, had 20 carries for 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brock Purdy's second half performance was big time for this team, and the 49ers, if they can continue to put that second half forward into the Super Bowl, I really like this team. Now, as I mentioned, with some of these red flags, they cannot afford to start slow in the Super Bowl. When you look at this Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs team, they are so great defensively. They're so great at stopping the run, and they are so great, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball with Patrick Mahomes and with Travis Kelce. The 49ers simply cannot afford to start this game slow and put themselves into a big-time deficit against Patrick Mahomes, because we all know how much of a killer this guy is. He's not going to give up a big-time lead like both of these teams did in the NFC. But regardless, Brock Purdy continues to prove people wrong every single week. People said that he was only having success throughout the regular season because of the quote-unquote Avengers with Debo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams. I get it. They have all pros everywhere you look. But the fact of the matter is that Brock Purdy, when they needed him the most, he stepped up in a major way. He orchestrated that final drive against the Packers to help them win. He clutched up in the biggest moment in the second half to help the 49ers overcome that 17-point deficit. That is not easy by any mean, and if you think just a quote-unquote game manager can do that, you are completely wrong. He had to make some gutsy throws. He had to try and get them back in the game. You look at this one play where he scrambled left, avoided a few different defenders, and he threw it across his body where Jennings ultimately made a crazy one one-handed catch. Brock Purdy had so many big-time throws. He had so many big-time scrambles on third down when the 49ers needed it the most, and I was very impressed from this dude that was Mr. Irrelevant in the last overall pick in the draft. It honestly baffles me how people continue to say that he is not a good quarterback. He's a borderline top 10 quarterback. He's playing so efficient right now. His completion percentage is amazing. His numbers were so good throughout the regular season. People need to stop sleeping on him because he has 60 minutes of football left to win a Super Bowl, but he's going to have a very tough matchup against the greatest player in the world in Patrick Mahomes. This should be an absolutely phenomenal Super Bowl, and I cannot wait for it. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.